Excellent, very good.
I find that my new office at the DTI is pleasingly spacious. I have arranged the furniture so that visitors have to cover a good distance as they approach me, Mussolini-like. This is particularly welcome in the case of my new diary secretary, Rose. Primly, she signs her notes Rosemary, which I find delicious.
Rose? Do you take dictation?
Of course, Minister.
There's very much an independent command. There's lots of travel and terrific junkets. And of course, as people must have told you, every Minister of Trade ends up in the cabinet.
My head is swollen. I am really in government now. And though the foreign visits take me away from the cut and thrust of Westminster more than I would like, I feel the elevation in my status. Gone are the days as parley sec when the officials were either patronizing or incredulous, journalists and colleagues alike regarding it as a fluke and liable to end with a bump at any moment. Now, officials are curious, but in their varying degrees, deferential. It is deliciously enjoyable and fills me with adrenaline.
Minister, could we get a comment?
Of course.
How do you feel about being blacklisted by the Esperanto Society?
Could I have a word?
There's been a complaint.
Really?
Foreign and Commonwealth Office. Reports come in saying that you're anti-European.
It's a fucking ambassador from Luxembourg, isn't it? I was only trying to humor that great plain wife of his. Balls.
Once the report is in, it's in. That's why, if you're really ambitious, you have to be cagey.
You're not anti-European, are you, Alan?
No, we're all in it together, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Very cagey. These Nordic tours are a complete fuckface. Redeemed only by the girls. So blonde, so clean, and at first sight, so correct. I wonder...
We'd better press on with the schedule, Minister.
As always, I am no more than a voyeur. Officials hover outside every door.
First off, the Finns are
Privileged prisoner.
You must always stay to the end of anything laid on. At meals, you must raise your glass to someone at the table when you drink. I must warn you, Minister, this can get very dull and repetitive, but they find it terribly rude.
How does he manage to keep this tedious drivel up? And if they spot for an instant that you're not paying attention, they quite deliberately slip in something of vital importance.
And, a sauna.
I can't even urinate if someone else comes into the gents. Which I seem to remember is such a bad sign that if admitted, it could get you a discharge from the army as being a moral danger to your brothers in arms. Perhaps it's something to do with Eton. But I don't in the least mind letting girls see my penis. I suppose it is because I fear, for quite extraneous physical reasons, becoming lightly or indeed heavily tumescent and attracting the attention of other men, either whose curiosity or disapproval being equally unwelcome. All the same, I like the Finns. They're serious and straightforward, like the Germans, but without the sinister streak.
Hello. Hello.
Thank you.
Sorry, spend a penny.
They cram my diary so tight that even 40 seconds is precious, and this makes me ill-tempered. So I'm rude to embassy staff, though never to the minions who are amiable and do their best, and to businessmen. especially the cocky ones. We lodged in the very hotel where the Archduke Ferdinand stayed on his last night. And amongst that authentic Balkan tang of sausages always frying, and incense and bad fat, I could still smell it. Just as one can in a haunted room, a colossal seismic charge of diabolical energy had been released from this very spot some 72 years ago, and drawn its awful price with the loss of a whole generation on the Western Front.
Minister. Minister. Я очень благодарен за честь оказанную.
I have been forced into round after round of meetings with no time even to pee. Always a favourite ploy of civil servants who, as is known, have fiberglass bladders.
Minister.
Wonderful to meet you, Minister.
How erotic it is to be called Minister.
Welcome home, Minister.
Why is it that none of the government car service drivers is capable of driving outside the metropolitan area without getting hopelessly lost? We have just left Surrey heading west. We're going to Kent, not bloody Cornwall. Like all the lower classes under pressure, he went to pieces quickly and sat rigid at the wheel, too flush-faced to admit that he'd done wrong.
I'm sorry, sir. I think I've taken a bit of a turn.
Well, that's it. Stop the car. I took over and drove the rest of the way to Saltwood, leaving Dave at a blue ball to make his own way home. Here, poor Jane had a tummy upset. Andrew was being prosecuted for careless driving. Brodies have lost ground in the dispute with Anson's nephew over Ardniki, and Bird and Bird have produced a hopelessly pessimistic opinion on our proposed action against Southern Water. I look appalling. Eyes are pink and pudgy. Plainly precancerous. It's the mileage. In the last year, I have made 156 landings. Brussels, Luxembourg, Paris, Bonn, Strasbourg, The Hague, Geneva, Rome, Lisbon, Budapest, Belgrade, Athens, Bahrain, Amman, Baghdad, Singapore, Perth, Sydney, Melbourne, Canberra. When I was first appointed, everyone said how lucky I was to go to all these places. Well, I suppose so, if you can't afford the ticket. But that's never been a problem for me. And in any case, I haven't been a traveller, just a zombie in invisible handcuffs. Good night. A very poor night. Tom kept us awake, fidgeting and flapping his ears, and when I finally staggered down to the yard with him at 2 a.m., he disappeared for 3/4 of an hour of ratting. Tom! Come here and get inside!
Firm government, fair government.
I never want to see Plymouth again.
I, the undersigned, being the Deputy
So hot
Returning
and
Officer,
thundery.
do hereby
I'm
give
feeling
notice
exceedingly tired and old. Sometimes I think that all I want is to stay in office long enough to get my fur legislation on the statute book. Force those fur traders into revealing their treacherous means. At least it has the Foreign Office fussing.
Honourable
Good.
AKM
Makes me feel I'm doing something really worthwhile.
150.
Fuck them.
And I hereby declare that the Honourable Alan Clark of the Plymouth Sutton constituency is duly elected.
Good evening. Mrs. Thatcher is back in number 10 Downing Street tonight, Prime Minister for the 3rd time in a row. The first step, cabinet changes this weekend.
Yesterday, post-victory, we went to Chequers. Sometimes on these occasions, she draws me into another room for a little intimate chat. But not this time. I must still be in favour, though, as she kept introducing me as my frightfully good trade minister.
There's a rumour going round that her health is not what it used to be, you know. Well, no one can stand this kind of pace. Eden had to take barbiturates. He probably had twice as much sleep at night as her.
I think I've finally blown it for the cabinet.
No.
It's all those Finchley furriers agitating over my anti-fur legislation.
There's a theory that she might give you a perch because the rest of the cabinet is just so boring.
Really? Absolutely.
I don't believe it. Once the lady is out of love with you, that's it. Look at poor old Cecil, and she was even grooming him to be her successor. Introductions to the Prince of Wales and all that. Now she's in love with David Young. Cecil will never get back. La donna immobile.
Al, you're going to be late.
Have you read this?
I've been rather busy packing your suitcase.
Must be some sort of plot. Heseltine to be star of conference? How? Hasn't got a perch. Must have made some pact with those awful subversives at Central Office. What a bore!
Al?
Yes.
Have a good trip.
What an awful man.
Sandling 551.
Good afternoon. Evening Telegraph here. Can we speak to Mr. Alan Clark, please?
Do you seriously think that a government minister would be sitting at home on his backside on a Thursday? In fact, he's on his way to Brussels. And after that, he's flying straight to Finland. He doesn't have a weekend free until after Christmas because he's abroad on business. I'm simply fed up with people thinking that he sits down here. I never see him, and his constituents never see him, because those civil servants keep filling up his programme with these foreign visits. Quite honestly, how Cecil Parkinson got up to anything at all, I just don't know.
Sometimes there is just so much pressure at Saltwood that it is a relief to sink into the cushions of the Sandling train, stale and dirty though they may be. No doubt my calm will be interrupted by delay for operating difficulties, which is, I assume, BR speak for some Aslev slob having drunk 14 pints of beer the previous evening and now gone sick and failed to turn up. Last night, I dreamt that when I arrived at Waterloo, I hailed a taxi, then could not remember my intended destination. Black Monday. The stock market is in free fall. Bang goes the boy's inheritance. I'm feeling sickish and tired. Is my lymphatic system packing up? I'm blighted by the Foreign Office at present.
Minister? Minister? We'd better make a start on the briefing. Now, as you know, the Prime Minister has a special relationship with General Pinochet, but at the Foreign Office there are some concerns about his human rights record.
I'm Minister of Trade, for God's sake. Just tell me what we're trying to offload on them and push off.
I rather think that concerns about his human rights record make this trip particularly sensitive. So if I could point out the following.
He droned on, and not one word about the UK interest. What's the point of keeping an expensive mission in Santiago if they can't even tell me what to push? He was evasive on all policy matters other than his own tenacious, guardian-esque obsession. This man is exactly the kind of mole who is working away 18 hours a day to extinguish the British national identity.
Baseball bats.
Totally Kafka at present. We're 2 hours late leaving Bogota, and no one seems to be especially bothered. Is God trying to do something for me? We are, no doubt, overloaded in a very old aeroplane that has done service first with, say, Pan American, then with a US regional airline, then to Europe, a dodgy carrier, and then 3 or 4 years doing cargo in the Caribbean until finally, 30 years after leaving Seattle, it has ended up here, with Air Columbia and me on its possibly final passenger list. What about Carlos Esteban? Perhaps he could get us out in one of his drug smuggling planes. Where is he?
Yes.
Ah, Minister, we just need to fill in a few details on the Miami trip.
Miami? What are you talking about? This is Chile, isn't it? I thought we were going back to the department before we went on to Miami. Am I wrong? Is this some perverse ambush?
Yes. Yes, Minister, of course. No, but...
Civil servants are the only human beings I know of, apart from my mother, who can say yes and no but in the same unpunctuated sentence.
Post would like a few details settled. You see, you're attending the Pan American Trade Conference, the exhibition, and the dinner.
What a treat.
But there will be a gap in the first afternoon. Now, Post have one or two suggestions how to fill it.
I bet they have.
There's a lunch at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, a presentation of the Escondido project, which I believe involves a film show.
Film show?
Yes, I think they're really pushing the boat out on this one.
At least I might get a nap.
Very good, Minister. And then there's the centerpiece of the entire trip, which is the dinner for the figures of the opposition. Guests arriving at...
I'm so exhausted and resentful that I don't think I'll be able to speak to them again on this trip. Socially, anyway. 8:30?
Yes.
Thank you.
Nosotros nos conocemos a mucho tiempo.
The opposition, it seems, comes down to every crypto Che Guevara and Castro the Foreign Office can round up. Total Mad Hatter's Tea Party. Frankly, I'd have them all put under arrest as they left the building. I might say that to Pinochet if I get to see him on Friday. Oh, these hateful flights. I look at the BAC map, and there on the UK is marked Ben Hope, 927 metres, and the two stretches of water, Erebol and Hope, are clearly set out. Within these bounds is my beloved Scottish property, the Gimmers and the peregrine falcons and the pine martens, the great tawny badgers, the stags, the little muscat deer, and the sly peat foxes. I think fondly and sadly of them all. George Courtauld very splendidly said that he never could allow himself to fall asleep on aircraft because he had this private superstition that it was only his willpower that kept them aloft. And if he should doze off, they might fall out of the sky.
Happy birthday, Ellen.
Far too many people seem to know that today is my birthday, which of course I don't like at all, as it makes it more difficult for me to ignore the fact that I am 60. I refuse to be 60. But this morning my face is swollen, and from some angles I could be an ill 60.
Happy birthday, Minister.
My God, I hate birthdays.
Oh.
But, no, thank you. No, thank you very much.
Suddenly, I could feel my veins raging. Nobody pouts like Rose. Rose? Fancy a drive? I have been behaving like this, absolutely unaltered, for 40 years. Crazy. Scrawny old-time warp. I'm in good favor at the moment. Perhaps because I send her a multitude of little notes and reports, but always through Charles, and I never ask for anything. But my status is precarious, and I fear that I may be heading for an unwelcome passage of arms. Because I have now cleared every hurdle, even the Secretary of State himself, for my fur order. I hope this will finally shock all those nouveau riche women into leaving animal pelts on the backs of those that were born with them. It will be a purely personal triumph over lawyers, ambassadors, civil servants, as well as the furriers, Eskimos, and assorted small shopkeepers that have been in to threaten and cajole.
The PM's office just called. She wants a quick word.
Thank you.
But the Prime Minister watches everything. And she herself has, I fear, very little empathy indeed with the animal kingdom.
Alan, this fur thing, I'm afraid the Prime Minister really wants it dropped.
No chance, I'm afraid.
She's very worried about the effect on these local native communities of their livelihood being destroyed.
It's all balls.
Apparently, Carol has just got back from there with heart-rending stories.
Well, she was just conned.
The Prime Minister would like you first to go out to Canada and see for yourself.
Sure, I can do that, but it won't make the slightest difference.
No. But the Prime Minister's idea is that this would allow you to come back and say that you had seen for yourself and that you are not going to proceed.
Ah. I see.
You know that she herself is visiting Canada shortly?
Of course. She could probably have resisted the Finchley Furriers. But that nasty little High Commissioner in Ottawa must have been winding her up with predictions of demos and placards.
I'm not giving in on this one, Charles.
Shall we go up?
Her argument, if such a confused, inconsequential but ardent gabbling can be dignified by that Aristotelian term, was it's all very well for the suburban bourgeoisie to inflict this legislation, but what about the noble savage? I was prepared to respond on a philosophical plane. I said something about it being...
It's just the first step.
The first step?
This was a mistake.
Of enlarging man's sense of responsibility toward the animal kingdom.
I hate quarreling with you, Alan, but in this instant, I think you are overriding thoughts of the human kingdom.
After 4.5 minutes of this, I realized I'd lost. The thought that at this very moment, animals are being caught in the wild, and all the pain and despair upon which their exploitation depends. I feel utterly dejected.
You're not going to go wobbly on us, are you, Alan?
Perhaps I should make a stand. It would be the first time that a minister has resigned on an issue concerning the welfare of creatures that don't have a vote. But if I do, not a single person will even notice or miss me for 30 seconds. I couldn't go back to being a backbencher. It's so completely artificial. Most of them are buffers, or demi-buffers, or buffers aspirant. They amount to nothing. It has been conveyed to me that after being so prominent, a period of obscurity and good behavior would be prudent and beneficial, show I was serious, etc. All that has happened is that I have become obscure and passé. Ash, ash, all is ash. Lay not up for thyself treasures on earth. The cars are all getting streaked and rust-spotted. The books foxed, the furniture dusty, the window panes, all 52,000 of them, are revolting, so greasily blotched. And there is moth everywhere. My grandfather's great Rothschild coat, bought in Wien in 1906, is terminally degraded. The whole thing is out of control. And why? I know why. because I'm not rich enough to have servants. Last week, little McGregor had a collapse in Brussels. He felt ill, left the room, slid to the floor in that long corridor leading from the salle d'écoute, and lay there with his mouth open. The pressures on a minister.
Morning.
Good afternoon. 13 government ministers have moved into their new jobs as the Prime Minister extends her reshuffle to the lower ranks.
What? The Defence Secretary after this weekend is going to be Tom King. God's sake. Any idea that I will do defence procurement under that man is out. And I will give the lady my reasons. I'd really rather be back on the estate. Randy little runt. Another adolescent chimp come to sniff around hoping the alpha male has finally had his day. I'm tortured by the fear of impotence, that utterly negative feeling, a void, zero between the loins. I am bored blue by the company of businessmen. I have absolutely nothing in common with them. I don't like sitting around with a glass in my hand. I don't understand references to Chelsea FC, and I couldn't hit a golf ball to save my life.
Hold the line for the Prime Minister.
Yes.
Alan, I want you to go to Defence as Minister of State.
I'm sorry, Prime Minister. I can't work with Tom. We've been through all that when I was at DE, and I can't go through it again. He's too ghastly.
I know what you mean, but he's much better now.
No, I just can't do it, I'm afraid.
Alan, you've always wanted to go to Defence. I stood out to get you this job. You can't let me down by refusing.
Well, if you put it like that, Prime Minister, of course. Thank you very much.
Oh dear. What a feeble resistance. Just a few shots in the air. It's up to me what I make of this, I suppose. But it will be difficult. In that department of all departments, seniority is everything, and I feel more than a little uneasy. I have always wanted this, but it has not come in the form I would have liked. I see trouble ahead.
And Jane Clark joins Tony Benn and Edwina Curry to talk with Simon Hoggart about political diaries in an age of spin. The Naked Truth on Sunday at 9. Stay with us tonight as Mark Steele reveals a life measured out in cigar cutters and cocaine wraps as he journeys through the bizarre world of Sigmund Freud. Next.